Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Today I'm covering some reactions to this conservative black gentleman, young. I think he might be in his late 30s, early 30s, in his 30s, maybe early 40s, who knows. But he's a conservative, and I like his content. There's like three conservative black men that I follow on YouTube. And this gentleman, Greg Forman, is one of them. And so I'm going to do a reaction video to one of his latest video. He put out a lot of videos, and I linked this particular video in my description, but you can reach his website, not website, but his YouTube channel from there. And he has a lot of subscribers. So we're going to follow him along with him doing a reaction to all the Trump derangement syndrome people who says a lot of crazy stuff about Trump and who are on the wrong side of history. And I'm gonna stop the video. It's like his video is 19 minutes long. I'm gonna stop and start it, but and have my little commentary. But I'm gonna let you hear him a little bit as well, or at least maybe mostly. But like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You can go over to his channel later and do what you like to do over there. But we're gonna get started. All right. So here goes. This gentleman here gets fired by ABC eventually.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
When you sound like an angry comment section of a leftist website, you're not an independent journalist anymore. You sound like a premenstrual stooge. That's what you sound like. I have no other way to describe it. Grown men like Terry Moran having tantrums is super unattractive, Jesse. I do not endorse men having tantrums like that. It's all on the progressive side. It's so gross.
Rules
so I think
for
you
men,
agree
don't
with me on
be
that.
Terry
I don't like
Moran.
open-toed shoes and men having tantrums.
Well, ABC is going to have to answer for what their, again, so-called journalist put out on Twitter in the wee hours of the night, calling Stephen Miller vile. They said that President Trump is a world-class hater. And this is, again, coming from someone who is supposed to be an unbiased and professional journalist. This is unacceptable and unhinged rhetoric coming from someone who works at a major television network. We have reached out to ABC. They have said they will be taking action, so we will see what they do. But I think this speaks to the distrust that the American public have in the legacy media, and it's why in the White House press shop and in President Trump's White House, we have made so many significant and much needed changes to press access and transparency at the White House. We've invited in new media. We have shaken up the White House press pool. And we also just won a major victory over the Associated Press, who thought that they had a constitutional right to walk into the Oval Office or to fly on Air Force One. And a judge said no. In fact, those are privileged spaces that belong to the President of the United States. And this is a great ruling for democracy. We fought them in court and we won. And so we will continue to keep or hold journalists accountable. All we're asking for is truth and transparency.
A few moments later.
Fox News alert. According to multiple reports, ABC News' longtime correspondent Terry Moran out of a job after posting an anti-Trump social media rant. Moran was previously suspended for calling Stephen Miller a world-class hater.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about another Trump deranged mainstream liberal media propagandist who has now been fired from his job. Okay, Trump derangement seems to be a career killer. Okay, just ask Joy Reid, Donna Lemonade, Chuck Todd, Tiffany Cross, Jim Acosta, who has now become basically the Jim Jones of anti-Trumpism, right? I mean, he's holding like Jim Jones-like rallies against Trump. It's kind of creepy.
Pull out the phone, turn the light on.
Before we get started there, I mean, this guy, you just saw him, that's Greg Forman. He does a very good analysis of how he sees the world and how people perceive Trump and all the decisions in the progressive, the liberal, the Democrat side. It's not to come out with counter policies. It's just because they hate Trump. It's irrational. It's like childlike behavior. It's really like childlike behavior. And after you finish seeing enough of the buffoonery of the left, you come to realize that these people should never, ever regain control of the American levers of power. Never. I mean, forget it.
You guys too. It may feel like we are surrounded in darkness.
Just substitute poison Kool-Aid for those lights and look at the people in the crowd. They look like they're in a trance. And look at the age grouping of those people as well. There might be some young ones, but, you know, can you imagine people like this or put maybe not Kool-Aid to drink, put torches in their hands? What do they look like then?
Right now. There's no question about it. It's been hard to get through. We're only, 100 and some odd days in. But I think what you just heard here from these gentlemen up here, from Tara, from Aaron, from Miles, is that there's still a lot of light left in all of us. And it would mean something to me if you carry that message with you as we leave this theater here tonight, that this is not a country that is being plunged into darkness. This is a country that can find its way back to the light. And I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate all of you so much. This is just a tremendous outpouring of support and patriotism and love for country.
Hey, maybe a chant. You know, when I was little, I asked my daddy, what will I be? Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. You know, look at the, you know, they might as well just start chanting or humming.
That, you know, it's going to be with me for a very long time. So I just want to thank you personally for being here tonight. You guys hang in there, stand strong, and keep watching us in independent media. We're going to give you the truth.
Yeah, so never let anybody tell you that anti-Trumpism is not a cult, right? It is, in fact, a cult, okay? A very dangerous cult, especially for your career. Because, again, this guy, Terry Moran, has been fired after he revealed that he is, in fact, a very biased and liberal journalist. Because for whatever reason, he thought it would be a great idea to post a Trump deranged rant against Trump White House official Stephen Miller in the middle of the LA riots. I'm assuming he was watching the riots and, you know, he got a little butthurt, right? He had a little, you know, I don't know, too much beer or wine or whatever he was drinking, okay?
I think we need to update the term riot to insurrection. I mean, if you read the definition of insurrection, that's what's going on in LA. It's no longer a riot. You know, it's an insurrection. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how. I don't think we could stay with that term anymore. It's certainly an insurrection.
At the time, and he went on what, again, seemed to be a drunken rant against the president and Stephen Miller. And ABC News had suspended him, right? They suspended him initially. And liberals were, again, very, very, very upset by this, right? They didn't like the fact that Terry Moran had gotten suspended.
Terry Moran, an ABC reporter, tweeted the following: "The thing about Stephen Miller is not that he is the brains behind Trumpism. Yes, he is one of the people who conceptualizes the impulses of the Trumpist movement and translates them into policy. But that's not what's interesting about Miller. It's not brains, it's bile. Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He is a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment."
Now we're going to see a slew of very Trump deranged women and things of that nature. And some of the stuff that they're saying is projection. Some of it is just outright craziness. And there's no substance to it because there's no policy in return to what they're saying. And by the way, I mentioned insurrection. That's what's going on in LA. An insurrection is a violent uprising against established authority, which in this case would be the federal government, with the constitutional right to get illegal people out. It doesn't matter whether they committed a violent crime or not. If your paperwork is not in order and if you're out of compliance, you're subject to deportation, no matter how long you've been here. It doesn't matter. So if it's the violence is directed against authority, particularly the government, it's insurrection. And that's what's going on in California, violence against the government, insurrection.
I think that is spot on. I think that's a great tweet. I think that's great analysis. What does ABC News do? Suspends him because Stephen Miller and Trump called ABC and whined and cried like the little titty babies that they are, because you know why? It's 1000% true.
Right. It's absolutely true. Look at what Trump does. Everything is about, sir, you're so great. Everybody loves me. Either he's a victim or he's the best thing that ever did. He never did anything so-so in his mind. He's always the best at everything. Stephen Miller has consistently been a racist. I mean, he's running around the last 4 years worried about white discrimination.
The larger issue here is that ABC News is going along with Trump and Miller. That's the bigger issue. Of course, Trump's a piece of shit. Of course, Miller's a piece of shit. When we see this appeasement and you see these corporations, they are playing such a short-sighted game. ABC News, this is...
No, they're not playing a short-sighted game. They've been losing, playing the game of the left. They're losing viewers. They're losing money, losing revenue. Taking the side of Trump derangement because it's unnecessary and it's stupid. Matter of fact, they'd be better getting their points across by being more honest and fair with the way they report. But no, I mean, this one-sided reporting is a turnoff to people because American people, as dumb as they are, aren't stupid completely.
It's ridiculous. It is embarrassing that they would do that. That was a spot on analysis. It is his opinion. They should have defended him. They should have gone to bat for him. And instead, they suspend him. And what we're finding out right now in the United States of America is Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, we all know they're pieces of shit. Who is going to enable the pieces of shit? And we're finding out. We're finding out that Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, the neutered Zuckerberg, I still can't believe he went on a podcast and said that out loud. I feel so neutered.
You know, these cackling hens, right? One of the things if you're a man, right, and you stand on your square and you understand your rightful position in the natural order of things, you could tell that these cackling hens here have a very, very bad issue with really masculine men who don't take bullshit from just anybody just saying anything. And these liberal feminist women have a real big issue with that, right? So it doesn't matter what the policy is. They want effeminate, weak men like Tim Walz or, some other, some of the Hakeem Jeffries, those kind of guys.
In my workplace, but I'm an alpha male.
Right.
I mean, anyway, all right, listen, these corporations that are capitulating to fascism is just really, really dangerous precedent. And ABC News, shame on you.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that we share that tweet and keep it alive because it must have really stung.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling ABC. This is Hazel. Who I have the pleasure of speaking with?
My name's Jessica.
Good afternoon, Jessica. How can I assist you?
I am just wondering if ABC always intended on being the propaganda arm of a fascist regime, or if their actions in firing Mr. Moran was just cowardice.
I am so very sorry. I'm just an operator and I transfer.
So can you transfer me to who I should talk to about that? Because I've tried like 6 numbers at this point.
I didn't hear the beginning of what you said.
I said, can you transfer me to who I need to talk to about that? Because I've tried quite a few numbers already.
I can only give you an email address.
There's no one to speak to about ABC News being part of a fascist regime?
I'm so very sorry. I have an email address that I can give you.
Sure.
You can also reach out to your local.
I've already reached out to my local ABC, and they gave me the number for the main line of ABC News that literally is just a recording that hangs up on you at the end. You can't even leave a message or speak to anyone. So I've already tried that. But I guess I'll take the email. Alrighty, thank you very much.
I think so too. Is there anything further that I can assist you with?
Other than not being a part of a fascist regime, no.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just an operator. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Trump derangement must really, really make people frustrated.
Alrighty.
Great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So again, never let anybody convince you that anti-Trumpism is not a cult, right? It is in fact a cult, okay? Because cult-like behavior is playing out right in front of our eyes when it comes to these people, these lunatics who, by the way, they self-describe as having poor mental health. Yes, liberals say that they have poor mental health. And again, I think reactions like what we just saw kind of, back that up, to be honest with you. But again, this is a real thing, like an actual real thing. If you happen to be liberal, okay, which means that you have a more than decent chance of having Trump derangement, then you probably would self-describe as having poor mental health.
Well, he's laughing a little bit, but just can you imagine spending 4 years in a mental state that makes you angry for no reason at all, right? Because one of the things about what Trump did, whether you like the man or not, I voted for him this time, but it's not because I have some endearing love for the man. He has policies that I agree with, and the other side have policies that I vehemently are opposed to, and that makes all the difference in the world. So, and the second thing is he's actually acting on everything he said during a campaign trail. I think that's one of the most powerful things I've ever seen a politician do, is actually act on the shit that they said they were going to do, and was willing to stand on it and get voted on it. And he got voted in spite of all the stuff people say he's doing wrong. He said exactly what he's going to do, and he's doing it. And it hasn't even been 200 days yet, and everybody's going crazy.
Ideology have any correlation with a person's mental health? In a new post on his blog Silver Bulletin, political analyst and data guy Nate Silver notes a 2022 study that shows higher self-reported mental health correlates with conservative political views. Shocker. In that study, 51% of conservatives report excellent mental health, as opposed to just 20% of liberals who describe their mental health as excellent. The data also shows that 45% of liberals report their mental health as poor, while just 19% of conservatives feel that way.
Yeah, so again, explains a lot, okay? And speaking of explaining a lot here, I'm not surprised that Terry Moran decided to go on this Trump deranged rant, because this guy, again, clearly was a liberal biased journalist. I mean, if you kind of watch this guy over the years, it is very obvious that he is not somebody that is calling it straight down the middle. He's somebody that was running propaganda on behalf of the Democrat Party and the left.
I like to say that in some ways, Barack Obama is the first president since George Washington to be taking a step down into the Oval Office. I mean, from visionary leader of a giant movement, now he's got an executive position that he has to perform in.
The question you can sense on everyone's mind as they listen so intently to him, is he the one? Is Barack Obama the man, the black man, who could lead the Democrats back to the White House? Around here, they're even naming babies after him.
In 2016, Bernie Sanders changed the Democratic Party. He made democratic socialism cool for millions of voters.
Bottom line, Roe versus Wade is overruled. There is no constitutional right to an abortion.
Let's not mince words. Women will die because of this ruling.
This is a court not of judges, but of politicians in judges' robes. Fight for Trump, not fight for America. He has the Republican Party as a...
Well, he was wrong on the abortion issue because in the last couple of years, there's been more state to state than ever before. So that whole thing was a false flag to begin with.
A personalized power like we haven't seen. It's a Caudillo, it's a Caesar, it's a Führer. We don't see that in this country. We do now. It's much more like sometimes you see in other countries, an authoritarian figure, maybe who has crossed the line of legality, still with an army of supporters. And that, in fact, the White House at this point is a laughingstock.
That's right.
In the capitals of Europe.
Looking to shore up shrinking support with the white voters he needs to recapture the White House, the president boasted about rolling back an Obama-era fair housing rule, stirring racist fears.
This is why he was sent here, by people who want to hear that message of America first. However, it carries with it overtones from the 1930s when an anti-Semitic movement saying we don't want to get involved in Europe's war. It's the Jews' fault in Germany. Charles Lindbergh led them. It is a term, as he defined it his way, but the words themselves carry very ugly echoes in our history.
Yeah, so again, is anybody surprised that this guy went on a Trump deranged rant? He couldn't help himself, right, and stepped outside of his role as a journalist, okay, and decided to just take the mask off and just to put out this crazy rant against Stephen Miller, right, calling him basically a world-class hater, okay? Yeah, is anybody really surprised by that, right? No, I'm not surprised, okay? All of these so-called journalists are, again, liberal propagandists. And this is why I'm also not surprised that you have liberal propaganda outlets, like, for example, Midas Touch, that's extremely Trump deranged. They're basically already trying to offer this guy a job, right? They're telling this guy, who, again, has been fired by ABC, that, yeah, you can come work for us and just, you know, go ahead and do your mask off propaganda. Confirm what we already knew about you, right? Come work for us. We already know you don't like Trump. It's cool.
Let me make this direct message to Terry Moran and zoom in on me for a second, if you will, Jeremy. Terry Moran, if you are listening and if you are watching this right now, we've just learned that your agreement has apparently been terminated by ABC. We want to let you know that you will always have a place here at the Midas Touch Network. I want to give you an example of what Katie Fang has been able to build when she became part of the Midas Touch Network, built out her independent media network. It has over 200,000 subscribers in basically 1 week, her YouTube channel. We are getting substantially more views here on the Midas Touch Network than any corporate news. We're doing 22 million views on this YouTube channel every 48 hours. And Terry Moran, we here at the Midas Touch Network believe that you are a fearless reporter. We will stand by you. We will never tell you what you can say, what you can't say. You will have the freedom to speak your mind at all times. And to Terry Moran and any reporter out there who feels they're being silenced, I'm telling you right now, join the Midas Touch Network, join the independent media movement. We will always have your back. We will always support you, and we will make sure we all stand up for democracy together. I'll go back to going right there.
Well, I'm going to let Terry know I actually happen to know him and I have all his contact info. And I will let him know. And you're right.
Yeah, so join the cult, right? Join the cult that undoubtedly, in my mind, again, is either a very, very, very strong cult or being artificially propped up by the YouTube algorithm, right? Because I just have a hard time believing that this channel, like, legitimately gets 22 million views in 48 hours. Real views, but you know, hey, maybe there are that many Trump deranged cultists in this country, and the fact that, again, this guy got immediately invited to join this channel, this network or whatever, tells you everything you need to know about the fact that, again, these people, they're not journalists, right? They're not acting in their supposed capacity as journalists on national television. They're acting as propagandists, and in this guy's case, I mean, he just went full mask off to the point where ABC couldn't even hide it, right? They couldn't deny that, like, yeah, we can't have this guy on air because he's just not meeting the standards, right? In the sense that, hey, you know, there has to be some kind of, like, benefit of the doubt, right? There has to be some type of, okay, well, we know he's liberal, but, right, we can't say for sure that, you know, he's biased, right? But again, when he put out that statement, okay, that X post, yeah, there's no doubt anymore, right? There's absolutely zero doubt whatsoever. But again, I'm not surprised because all of these individuals, right, like the Don Lemons of the world, they all claim, oh, I'm not biased. I'm calling it straight down the middle. And then as soon as they get fired, okay, because a lot of them, again, they eventually get fired, they just go full anti-Trump, right? And it's like, well, I thought you weren't biased, right? You're anti-Trump when you're on the mainstream liberal media, and when you're independent, you're anti-Trump. So clearly, there is some bias here. So, with that being said, let's read this statement from the ABC News spokesperson. Quote, we are at the end of our agreement with Terry Moran, and based on his recent post, which was a clear violation of ABC News policies, we have made the decision not to renew. At ABC News, we hold all of our reporters to the highest standards of objectivity, fairness, and professionalism, and we remain committed to delivering straightforward and trusted journalism. Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's the case, right? I wouldn't necessarily call ABC News a trusted journalism outlet.
Hey, well, let me stop it right there because, this is just one I plucked out of the air to show. But, just like everything else, I have, some kind of song that I have for these guys. And this is one is for the new black conservatives. And this was Greg Forman is one of them. I have a couple of others that I'm going to play, but let me see if this is the right one. Hold on for a second. Got that one. Got a couple here.
In a world where the truth stands tall and clear, we rise with a vision, breaking through the fear. Voices of the past echo strength anew. United in our struggle, we know what's true. Stand your ground, let your light shine bright. In the age of change, we'll reclaim our birthright. In the age of the new black conservative, we stand firm, we're unapologetic. With love in our hearts, faith in our soul, together as a force, we'll take control. Putting bridges where division once stood. With wisdom and patience, we're a force for good. Empowered by the future as we take the world on. In the face of the storm, together we are an unbreakable bond. Hear the call from the valley to the skies. In this age of hope, black people will rise. In the age of the new black conservative, we stand firm, we're unapologetic. With love in our hearts, faith in our soul, together as a force, we'll take control. This is our time, hear us roar. In the age of change, we'll rise for sure.
Our pain, marriage, politics, and sports. Thanks for stopping by. I can tell you and everybody else, hit that like button. Over and out.